Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. For those that may be new to me, I'm David Harris. I'm a channeler and energy intuitive. And today I'm going to be continuing my series of doing live one on one readings. And with me here today is my friend Sandra Harris, who is a healer, um, past life regression hypnotherapist, and she also channels. And I'm going to read Sandra's energy field and kind of go into the Akashic records and bring forward some answers to some questions that she has that will help her in her own healing journey. Before we get into it, is there anything you'd like to say, Sandra, or anything you'd like to add?
That was plenty. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you. I can't wait to see what happens.
Okay. Well, I am. For those that might be new, I kind of go into a trance state and I channel a collective, and that brings forward a big healing energy. It's more than just information coming through, and it's a lot of very specific details, healing energy that comes in, and a lot of light language that will be addressing healing layers of the energy field. And the light language will also bring in information that may be more complex than could be put into human words. So keep in mind that what's happening with these questions and answers may also pertain to you, may also help you individually in your life. And the healing energy will definitely help you. So just give me a moment. I'm going to tune in and we'll see what comes through. Mm. Well, good evening. It is wonderful to be here with you today. We have something unique in store that we think will give you some relief and some clarity. Yeah, before we get into your question, we're going to start with just a little bit of light language. Now, this is to do two things. This is to help tune your energy field. This is to help open you up to receive. Yeah, ya, kashya pakadaka pakashya pakadaka kaboya pakashya pakadaka kashya pakadaka oya kashya kadaka pakadaka makadaka aya shya makachya ya pakadaka pakashya kashya pakadaka kaya oya paka ya pakadaka ya pakadaka kashya ya pakadaka kashya pakadaka kaya ya pakadaka kaya ya kasha pakata kakasha katika kashika takasha katika kaya katika kaya kashika ya katika kaya hoya katika kaya. So just sit back and relax. Let yourself really fall into your body. This is going to be a very gentle process. So, where would you like for us to begin? We know you have some questions for us here today.
Yes, let's see. The first one is what do I need to let go of right now to bring more joy, ease, abundance into my life?
It's as much about what do you need to let in
Hmm.
as it is about what will be most beneficial for you to let go of. We're going to start first with the letting go element. The concept of letting go can be a trigger phrase for a lot of people, and that includes you. Because there can be a subconscious correlation or connection or underlying belief that letting go means losing control or being dominated in some way. So we would like to clarify for you and for anyone who is listening to this that what we mean when we talk about letting go is not submission. We are not suggesting submission. Submission suggests some level of servitude or that someone else is in charge. And that is not how reality operates. Letting go can come in many forms. But at a base level, letting go does involve trust. Trust in what you're receiving, trust that what you're letting go into is really serving your best interest. And what you're letting go into will honor your intentions, will honor your truth. And the thing that would help you the most to let go of is really like letting go of a weight. We're really talking about letting go of a burden. That's primarily what we're talking about, letting go of a burden. And that burden for you is letting go of the need to fix everything for everyone. And that may seem very hard to do given the nature of your role and your job. But often, there are cases when others become overly reliant on you when there are things that they can learn how to do themselves quite well and quite easily. And we're going to get into a few layers on this because there's an ancestral layer there that is one of those things that's kind of got you kind of stuck in a loop in a certain rhythm, and we're going to help you with that. And there's also a past life issue involved. But what we mean by letting go in this case, and we'll just use the example of your working life. In your working life, it can be beneficial for you to think of all of the people and the beings that are involved in the place where you work, where you spend so much time, as a collective consciousness, as more than just a group of people working together, but as a collective consciousness. It's a collective consciousness that is a co-creation between all the elements in play in the building, which includes the physical aspect, the humans that are there, the humans that contribute to running the space, and the various different practitioners and healers that come in, and also the large group of non-physical healers and non-physical beings that inhabit the space to amplify it and to help you. There is more help for you available in that building than you're letting yourself receive. So that's a tangible example we know will resonate with you. And we're going to get into the ancestral element first and to help to clear that. The ancestral element comes from a male in your ancestry about 7 generations back who was a pioneer in the Old West. He was leading a group that went from Tennessee to Oregon. It's the Oregon Trail days. And so many tried that and didn't make it, but his group did. He made it all the way over. They didn't stay there all that long when they got there, but they made it all the way across. And he was the leader of this expedition. He was the one that had by far the most experience going through the uncharted or loosely charted wilderness. He knew about working with and interacting with various native groups, Native Americans that he would run across. He knew how to barter with them. And he understood the need to make friends and allies along the way. He also had some non physical help to help him get across, but he was the one that was burdened with figuring everything out. Early in the expedition, his primary male partner, we don't mean romantically, we mean like almost like a business partner that was helping the group, that was had an equal amount of expertise, um, died. Rather unexpectedly of an illness. And that created a void, and he picked up the slack. He didn't get a lot of rest during the trip. He literally bit his fingernails a lot. He felt like he bit off way more than he could chew with that whole trek, but there was nowhere to go except forward and straight ahead, because for everyone in that group, they felt that there was nothing for them to go back to. They were going for a better life. And they ran into every obstacle imaginable on the trip, and not everyone made it. But at a key point, about two-thirds of the way through, when many were ready to give up, he did two things. He issued a warning in front of the group to one that had been taking more than their fair share of the food and water, which rallied the whole group behind him. And he trusted his instincts, and his instincts were to take a different path. And in taking a different path that was off the main route, he avoided a major waterfall that was very, there had been a lot of heavy rainfall, so it would not have been crossable. And he ended up having a much better experience at the end of the trip. But he was the one that was, even though he was with a bunch of adults, there were families, there were children, there were parents. Many of them were immigrant farmers, some of which didn't speak English very well and had limited skills when they got out into the wilderness. And so for him, it was really like he was a single parent with 20 children, even though most of them were adults. And he was constantly having to explain things to them. He was always on duty. His guard was always up. And the few moments when he let his guard down and trusted that people understood what he had taught them, something bad would happen. But he did eventually make it all the way across, and he changed the lives of many. The offspring of so many that live out in Oregon came from this group that he helped get there. And this group did more than just farm. They were pillars of the community once they arrived. But your ancestor lived with a beggars can't be choosers mentality. He eventually left that community by choice because he felt they were becoming overly dependent on him and his knowledge. and he wanted them to grow up on their own. So he eventually went back east. And you've carried that forward in your ancestry ever since. And you've really taken that on. Yeah, because and today you're not leading people through life or death scenarios on a daily basis. And like your ancestor, you have a lot of non-physical help. So learn to lean on that non-physical help more. Yeah. This is a thread. So we're pulling this thread out so we can release this thread from you. There's going to be a bit of light language and toning for a moment to finish the clearing that's been ongoing. Yeah, katakakasha, pakatakakaaya, pakasha, pakatakapakasha, pakatakapakaaya. Yeah, pakatakakasha, pakatakapasha, pakatakakaaya, pakatakakaya. Yeah, pakatakaka, 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 pakatakakaya. So just take some deep breaths and feel free to speak if you'd like. You were keeping a lot of that in your gut, literally in your stomach and in your whole gut area, your whole abdominal area. So it's like that big thread was just pulled out of your gut biome, and this is going to transform. Um, this is going to transform the way your body processes food. It's
Mm.
also going to transform the way you chemically process stress for the better, because this is out of you. Yeah. So if you get very thirsty over the next several days, there's a good reason for it. Just trust it. And drink plenty of fluids. This ancestor would also like to thank you. Because even though that lifetime was what you would think of in linear time as a long time ago, he had not fully crossed over to the other side until now. And now that that burden is released from the ancestry, he finally gave himself permission to go fully to the other side. And to recognize that he doesn't have to manage and take care of things anymore. So you've given him a gift, and you've given your entire family line a gift. Now, the second element of this we mentioned had to do with the past life. And we also were getting into how for you, it's as much about letting go as it is about letting in something specific. And this past life issue directly relates to that, which is why we want to go straight into that. So, what to let in? Well, to put it very simply, it's to let in more help. And let in more help in the sense that you might even think of yourself like being the quarterback of a football team. The quarterback of a football team is a very, very important position on the field because the quarterback touches the ball on every play. But sometimes the quarterback turns around and hands the ball off and gets out of the way. Because that quarterback knows that he's already called the right play. He's looked out at the field before the ball is snapped to see if anything needs to be adjusted, if he needs to make any audibles, and he's made any necessary adjustments. But then once he hands that ball off, it's not his job to fix anything anymore. He can just let the play unfold. Now, there's sometimes when it's really important for that quarterback to keep the ball because it's a passing play, and it's his job to recognize who's open down the field and to deliver the ball on time to the right place and to the right person. But not always, because he's part of a team. And you are very much a team player in every way. But it's sometimes hard for you to recognize that being part of a team, even if you're a lead player, also means there are times when you can hand something off and step aside and not have to be involved anymore. Just like that quarterback who hands the ball off to the running back sees what's happening on the field. He's right there seeing what's unfolding. It's not his job to go make the run for that player. It's not his job to go gain those extra yards when that running back gets into a pile and has to push forward a little bit. Because on those running plays, the quarterback doesn't really have to break a sweat. There are other moments when it's his time to really take the lead role. And why is this a challenge for you? Well, specifically, this comes from a past life in Atlantis. You were the guardian of one of the most sacred temple sites throughout all of Atlantis. You were very, very advanced at working with crystals. And very late at the end of Atlantis, you recognized that something was wrong. You recognized that something was being compromised about the entire temple system itself. It took you a little while to identify the problem, that there was some element that was looking to try to use it as a way to influence people negatively, that was looking to turn it into a control system. And you could not allow that. You and many others could not allow that. And so in that life, the last several years of running that temple before everything flooded in Atlantis, you basically had to become a bit of a micromanager about who you allowed in, who you allowed to stay there after hours, so to speak, unsupervised, who you allowed to have access to the more advanced teachings, who you allowed to work with what other people, because you were very specific in particular because you didn't want anything corrupted. And your instincts were exactly right on. You did the right thing. And it really was a painful experience for you because you did not like having to control things. You did not like having to institute rules and to turn it into a system where people had to like almost have a hall pass to go into certain areas. You did not like doing that because you felt it limited development of those that were advancing really fast, and it was never what you wanted. You always wanted it to be an open system. Where sure, folks wouldn't be taught certain things until they were ready for them, but there weren't any real secrets in a sense. They were just more advanced lessons to learn. But you recognized quite quickly that others were trying to use the way in which the temples connected energetically, because they were actually built as pyramids that connected as an entire network across a large part of the planet. You recognized that there was an attempt that was coming from somewhere high up in society to infiltrate that network and to try to use that network to broadcast subconscious subliminal messages that were meant to instill fear and create divisions for the sake of control and for one side having more than another side. And you feared quite accurately that they were attempting to take that network and weaponize it. And that could have vast implications throughout the planet. It could have negative implications for Lemuria. It could have implications off world because that pyramid system also functioned as a series of stargates to go on and off the planet. You did not play politics. You were above that. And you thought that the conflicts between Atlantis and Lemuria were truly senseless and could have all been avoided. So you very reluctantly had to become very hands-on, very much a micromanager. To keep the temple system from being infiltrated and to keep your temple from being infiltrated. And you did accomplish that. You accomplished that very, very well. But you didn't receive what you needed. And you could not have known, you had no way of knowing that you didn't have to do what you were doing to that extent because you had a secret protector behind the scenes who had to remain nameless in order to maintain their position. But there was someone very high up that was protecting the whole temple system and was protecting you. That put some safeguards in place as a last resort. At the very end of things, you got so frustrated that you essentially walked off the set. You saw a catastrophe coming. You didn't know when, but you made the decision, a very painstaking, heartbreaking decision, to close the temple down for good, to take it all offline, to remove all the tools that were needed to make it run the way it did, and to go through a process of actually disconnecting it from the earth grid so it couldn't be used. And then you took an offer you've been given to escape to go to Egypt and have a fascinating, quite healing second chapter in that life. Now, in this life, the last thing you would ever do is micromanage anyone. That's not what we're talking about. The biggest wound from that experience in Atlantis was that you closed off to receiving help from your team. And that created a divide within you. You had a divided spirit, really. a part of you that still believes that if you fully let in the help and are willing to take your hands off the ball at times, like a quarterback handing off the football, that something disastrous will happen, or someone will be getting into something they can't handle, or some outside attempt to sabotage would make some headway. And none of those things are remotely the case. Rationally, logically, you know that. Yeah, but we would like to clear the deck, clear this out of your nervous system, so that you can begin practicing the art of handing the ball off when it's a running play. Hoya, bakataka, shia bakataka, katakakaya, bakashpakatakaya, Hoya kashia bakataka, shipakataka, 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 ya bakatakaka, Hoya bakatakaya, kacha, baka, Hoya katakaka, shipakatakaka. So now just really let that land. Really let that land. Those running plays are in the playbook for a reason because they're very effective. And sometimes when you get right to the goal line, when something's about to complete, the smartest thing you can do is hand it off to that running back and let him pound it into the end zone. It's the quarterback's job to see the whole field, not to do everything. Because sometimes that receiver just has to make a play. Now, as we continue, we'd like to go into your next question because it dovetails very, very nicely into what we were just explaining.
I think I wrote, what gifts or healing abilities have I used in other lifetimes that I'm ready to bring forward now or remember?
Oh, goody. This is an exciting question. Yeah, because there's a lot in store for you. A lot in store for you. You've been activating in some very significant ways, and you're ready to bring a lot on board. And your higher self specifically asked us to address those other two things that we were just working with you on in order to help clear the deck, clear the residue, um, for what's coming on board. And one of those abilities that you have coming online right now, quite quickly, is clairvoyance, deep inner knowing. Inner knowing in every which way. Inner knowing almost as if you can see what's about to happen a few seconds before it does. An inner knowing of the right path to take. It can be little things like if you get to an intersection and there's a two-way go, meaning if you go straight or you turn left to go a different route, it'll get you to your destination in about the same amount of time. Either it doesn't, you can flip a coin and either one. Sometimes one route might be more interesting to you, but you have this instinctive knowing of which way to go, and you have many times in your life you have avoided something that would have happened in another route that you never knew about. Yeah, you might have avoided getting stuck behind a wreck. Yeah, you might have avoided some aggressive driving that was going on in that direction. Yeah, you might have avoided all kinds of things. And conversely, by taking the route you decided to go, you wound up seeing something interesting that brightened your day. You may have seen something unique on a bumper sticker that gave you a laugh. It could have been something small or it could have been something larger. Yeah, because you could have been driving down the road, passing by a stranger you don't know, and you would have given them a download. Yeah, because you have a very big auric field and you're always transmitting data. Yeah, to others for them to pick up on in their own way. Yeah, because you're a big healer and you do it just by being you, by moving about in a space. Clairvoyance for you will take many different forms. Yeah, it's going to come in the form of having uh, soon an instant knowing of if someone's telling you the truth or not, particularly about big things. You'll be able to recognize people's intentions with great clarity. Yeah, you're very turned off by deception anyway. But your field actively repels it. There are a lot of people that don't intersect with you that you never meet or talk to that are incompatible with that frequency. And your boundary system kind of keeps them out of your terrain. Clairvoyance begins with the heart. That's the biggest reason why clairvoyance is coming on board for you. The second reason is a DNA activation. It's abilities, gifts that you have used in other lifetimes in a highly advanced way, um, come really activating and opening up. And also, um, you're experiencing a great heart chakra expansion and opening. And this does translate to your physical heart. So the magnetic field that your heart emits is becoming stronger and more coherent. And that's ultimately where clairvoyance comes from. Of course, it doesn't come from the mind. It really stems from the heart. And it stems from your heart reading and interpreting the energy field around you in a highly sophisticated, very fine-tuned way. Yeah, yeah. So really trust what you see and feel, and really trust your inner knowings about anything, large or small. You can save yourself all kinds of extra work doing menial tasks by really trusting your inner knowing. Yeah, trusting your inner knowing about the order in which to do things. Yeah, trusting your inner knowing about what you see with your son and his friends and the dynamics that he's interacting with in his life. You're going to be able to see what's troubling him even more quickly. Yeah, and have fun with it. Yeah, because a side benefit of this clairvoyance is uh, increased telepathy, which is also one of your gifts that's coming online. You use telepathy all the time, but you don't necessarily think of it as such. But the one little piece of the pointer that we'll give about telepathy. A very simple pointer for you and for anyone listening is if you want to explore telepathy more easily and to recognize the ways in which you're already having telepathic communications with so many already, is to simply shift your focus when you're having a conversation so that while you're speaking the words, while you're hearing the words, that you consciously decide that the words are secondary. The words are the secondary part of the experience, and they always have been. Yeah, but when you trust that the words are secondary, when you start to see the words as the surface and the communication as being energetic and a merging of energy fields to some extent, a crossing of energy fields and an interaction and a communication. We guarantee you that what's going to happen is you're going to start having experiences where you hear in your mind something that person is going to say right before they say it. It may be a specific word or a phrase or an idea, but you're gonna hear it in your mind, and then they're gonna say something that's very, very close. And you're gonna be like, wow, what just happened? That's telepathy. The third major gift that you have coming online in a big way is healing touch. You're going through a big hand chakra activation. You carry a lot of healing capacity in your hands. You have the ability to zap someone with life. And you don't have to actually physically put your hands on them to do it. So we encourage you to just have fun with moving energy with your hands, directing energy with your hands. You can try it on yourself first. You can use this healing touch on yourself if you feel depleted. If you feel like there's tightness in a certain area, you feel tension, you feel sadness, you can let your hands just operate on their own and decide on their own where they want to go. And they will. Your hands will go exactly where you need them to go to bring in that healing touch. And when you are using your healing touch, you're also channeling your angel team. Yeah, they want you to know that very specifically. You're channeling your team of angels. And we have a lot more to say here. This is so exciting because you have so much coming on at once. You also have the gift of second sight coming online in a big way. This is the ability to see other potential timelines, because that's what predicting the future really is. Predicting the future is always seeing probabilities and possibilities from the perspective of where things stand right now, because there really isn't a past or a future. There is only an eternal present, and you are just predicting or seeing other potential nows that are available. But you're going to have some real moments of clarity. We see 3 moments coming up in the next 6 weeks of your life where you'll have a knowing of something to come. And in each case, it's something very positive. You'll have a knowing of something to come for your son, and you'll be able to help reassure him to trust his gut on something he is trying out. You'll have a clear and direct knowing of something to come with a coworker that you're close with. And you'll be very excited to deliver that news. And you'll have a very clear knowing of something to come for you, something that would seem unexpected from where you sit today. But when this comes in, you'll see it and you'll be like, I know it. I knew it was coming. I knew it and I see it. And it'll play out just like you thought. And when you have this second sight, these knowings, you are also doing timeline shifting, particularly when you have knowings for yourself. You are shifting, you are consciously shifting into the timeline where that probability becomes an expected event. So trust what you see. Trust your own vision of the future. Trust your vision of the future that you see for yourself above all, but also trust the visions of the future that you see for others that you're close to, because you're going to have the clearest knowings of what's to come from those that are a part of your same soul group. And these are souls that you've incarnated with numerous times, that you're back on this planet with again, and you know all these people. The ones that we're talking about are people that you already know right now. So go exploring. Go exploring with all these gifts and have fun. But we're not done, because you have two more we want to talk about that are really going to be a lot of fun for you. You've been going through a big throat chakra clearing and expansion and upgrade. And what this is bringing on for you is clairaudience. It's just the ability to hear below the surface, to hear beyond the veil. And this is going to open up for you a clearer pathway to hear your guides in more specific terms, as actual dialogue. It'll come through in a trickle at first, and then it'll turn into a waterfall. You'll also hear the higher selves of other people. And this is a good thing. This will actually be a welcome relief, because when you're dealing with the higher self of any human, you're dealing with the fully healed version of them. You're dealing with a highly evolved version of them. You're dealing with a version of them that can fully see you, and a version of them that doesn't compete with you in any way. And this is going to really stand out to you, that you're starting to have communication directly from the higher selves of people with one individual in your life, one specific individual that you work with, and it's going to change your entire perspective of this person. It's going to be quite rewarding for you, and it's also going to make you laugh. So trust in your clairaudience. Trust that your angel team is working very hard to safeguard this for you, to make the opening up of this a fun experience, and it won't feel like an assault on your nervous system at all. And this is going to greatly enhance your channeling. Yeah, because when you channel with your whole body. Yeah, and believe it or not, the last part of you to come fully online is your throat chakra, which may surprise you because you've been channeling very well. Yeah, look for the verbal aspect of your channeling to go through a big expansion. Trust what you hear. Even if your mind doesn't understand it, because your throat chakra opening up also opens up your ability to hear a lot of expanded frequencies. Think of it as a form of sound mapping of the totality of your environment, both seen in the physical and unseen, because the range of frequencies that your ears can detect is much broader than the range of frequencies than your eyes can see. And what you hear and what you see are really two elements of the same thing. And lastly, we've saved the most fun part for last. You are going through a big rewiring in your brain that your higher self has been in charge of. This is a natural evolutionary step for any human the more that you come online, because the fully expanded human with all of the dormant DNA activated and integrated and online has a much bigger third eye. There's some physiological changes that take place in the brain that make that form a lot of additional connections so that all the different sections of the brain become fully integrated, meaning there are more connection points, more neurons to connect the different sections of the brain to the other sections of the brain, so that your brain starts to function as more one entire collective unit instead of separate parts. And when the brain starts to function as a collective unit and starts to see other aspects of itself more clearly, the brain starts to comprehend that it's not actually designed to be in charge. Sure, the brain has some governing functions for involuntary things like making your heart beat, making your heart beat on time, controlling your breathing, and all kinds of involuntary functions that happen in the body. But what we mean is your brain is a receiver. Your brain is a receiver because you, the totality of you, is much bigger and more vast than that brain. But in the center of your brain is the pineal gland and the pituitary gland and the amygdala that all work together. And when this all comes fully online for you, you're going to start seeing auras visibly. You're actually starting to a bit, but the mind hasn't integrated this yet. So it hasn't turned into the visuals, but it will. And you'll see auras in full color eventually, before too long, really. The auras will start as being more white, but then the colors will start coming in. And you will be able to recognize people's emotions from a distance. You'll be able to see when someone's coming online before they do. And this is going to especially help you navigate your social life with greater ease than you thought possible. And your son and his friends are going to think this is super cool. So you'll find yourself almost accidentally walking into a situation where you're the cool mom all of a sudden. Not just to your son, but to his friends too. When this ability to see auras comes online, just know up front that you'll go through some changes initially. So just allow yourself to really take it in with your heart. And don't worry if you don't know how to interpret what it means when somebody's aura looks a certain way, or if there appear to be parts that are missing or diminished. Don't worry if you don't know what that means, because it won't take you very long to be able to really dissect with clarity what's going on as you integrate another series of changes that comes right after that. However, by the time you start seeing auras, you'll already have the clairaudience coming on board. So you'll be hearing your guides more clearly, and you can ask for a lot of help. And when you get this help, recognize and realize your guides are not training you, because you're already an expert at this. They are just being the interpreter. That's all. They're functioning as an interpreter for a moment until you don't need their interpretations anymore, and you won't. One thing to note, and this is a phenomenon that will help many people that are watching this now or will watch this in the future, is that it's very, very common when you start seeing auras to be able to see everybody's aura but your own. So if that happens to you, and it will, your aura is not missing. It's quite healthy. It's quite big. Eventually, you will be able to see your own aura with clarity. But seeing your own aura is kind of like being able to tickle yourself. It's hard to do. So we're really excited for you, because you're about to have a whole other experience, a much deeper experience with what you've thought of as the non-physical up till now, because you've been raising in frequency in some big ways, and you've cleared some big stuff. And we have some bonuses that we're gonna add in for you. But if you have another question, we'd rather get to that. If you don't, we have something we'd like to share.
I don't. You can
Okay.
mention.
It may have felt for you like your own activation sequence has been going slower than some others that you know. This is not actually the case. Yours has just been going more smoothly. Because you live and work in areas that are very, very conducive to your frequencies and are very well balanced. And you work in a place that has a big amplification system, both physically built in and in the non-physical, in and around it. So this creates kind of an incubator effect, meaning if a baby or an egg, like chicken eggs, are in an incubator, they don't really experience too many temperature swings energetically. Things stay pretty consistent. So that means that your frequency can be rising as more of a smooth line versus a jagged edge. And many others that you know are experiencing more of the jagged edge. However, this phase you're in now is a very, very rapid activation and integration of many things that are coming together at the same time. And why is this all happening now? It's happening for two key reasons. One is you have finally cleared out all the ancestral trauma that you came here to clear, that you decided before you were born you were going to take on and clear. You've cleared all of it. You've done some major heavy lifting for many years in your life, and the last bit of it was just a moment ago. That's all completely done. So you don't have that weighing you down. You have also been releasing and integrating the clearing and healing of your deepest core wound, which comes from another lifetime. It's not Atlantis. You know what it is, and we don't need to get into it on this call. But that was a deep, deep wound, and you have finally cleared that. And it was necessary for you to do that. It was necessary for you to have those experiences because it prepares you for what's next. But you no longer have that weighing in the background. You no longer have those anchors keeping the boat in the harbor, keeping the boat near the dock. Those anchors are gone. So now it's time to run a regatta to sail a really fast race. So as these changes that we just mentioned integrate and come online more rapidly, to those around you, some that know you really well, you're going to be like a jack in the box, meaning you've been in there the whole time and that the music's been playing. And you never know when that joker is going to pop out of the jack in the box. It's going to catch you by surprise every time. And all of a sudden, boom, here I am. I'm all online. And it's going to shock some people. And you're going to find that really hilarious. You're a very powerful healer. You're a super empath. You are. And if in the range of, as far as the human nervous system goes, the natural capacity, you would be in like the top 0.01% of most empathic humans on the planet. Which is a tremendous gift. It also made it really necessary for this past life and ancestral stuff to be fully cleared out before you totally came online. Otherwise, it would have been very painful for the nervous system. But instead, it's going to be a joyful experience. So think of yourself as like Belinda the Good Witch from The Wizard of Oz, who has all this accumulated wisdom, which you have brought in from so many other lifetimes and from this life. Cherish the unfolding that's happening. This is a time to make some notes. It doesn't have to be a lot of notes, but if you start keeping a note on your phone of like actual dates, like from one date to the next, notice what changes for you about your experience, about what's coming online. Keeping those notes, kind of keeping a scorecard there, will be very, very beneficial for you later. Very beneficial. It will help you tell your story. It will help you recognize these things in others when you can look back later and see the sequence. It'll help you with your son because he'll go through a similar experience after you do. And it'll help you with so many that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. You are a master healer. And you're a very powerful channel. And you're about to experience more of that for yourself. You're a great galactic wanderer. You've incarnated all over the place to try everything out before you decided to come back to this planet one last time, but you were coming back fully armed with all this knowledge, information, and a vast, finely tuned, highly developed skill set. So get ready to take up your magic wand again. And start writing. Just start keeping more notes about your own experience. And later you'll see why you're doing it. You have many great things ahead of you. In a really true sense, you have a whole new identity coming on board. And this isn't an ego identity. This is an aspect of you that has been offline, that you incarnated with, that's coming on board. In a sense, what you're really doing is you're bringing more of your own oversoul into your physical vessel, because your physical vessel is ready for that now. You're a very finely tuned instrument, and you tune others just by being near them. You're this big tuning fork that tunes the whole building, the whole environment to you. Every orchestra, before they play, when they're doing their warm-ups, the first chair violin tunes the orchestra. He plays a note, and everybody in the orchestra tunes to that note so that they're all making the same sounds at the same time. They're all playing in the same key, because the worst thing is to have an orchestra that's out of tune. But that violinist doesn't dictate the music. He doesn't tell anybody how to play, but it does get them all playing in tune and playing together. And that's what you are. Because the first chair violin is like the leader of the orchestra. You have the conductor that conducts the orchestra. But the first chair violin is kind of like the quarterback of the orchestra. This has been a lot of fun for us. So we hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. Is there anything you'd like to say at this point?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We would like to conclude with one more thing. You have a lot more help coming in. You have 3 new guides that have just come in to help you. These guides are here to stay for the rest of your life. They're going to be a lot of fun to work with. You also have more tangible human help coming in your life to help you expand in certain avenues in your life, and to do so in a way that feels safe to you. And there's a wild card coming for you, a fun wild card. You're being dealt a wild card by your angel team and higher self. And this will come in the form of a new pursuit in your life. That you won't be doing alone, which will feel very rewarding for you, and it'll be something that'll really like be a pressure release, a pressure valve that kind of It helps you recalibrate and come back to yourself when you need to. So look out for the fun wild card. We'd like to conclude with a chakra balancing and recalibration for everyone here. There's been a lot of healing energy transmitted throughout this whole call. And a lot of hidden messages for all the individuals who are going to hear this that have come forth in the light language and in other frequencies that you can't hear but have been here the whole time. Now get out there and have fun becoming more of yourself. We thank you, we love you, and with that, we are complete. Ah.
Hi.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We're going to conclude here. So this is going to be still available on my YouTube channel under the live section if you'd like to see it again to pick up anything that was beneficial to you. Thank everybody for joining and have a great evening.